Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors and ideators so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We certainly don't talk about it enough, and when we do talk about it, when we engage with people in pain. Most of us are not very good at it, and I'm being kind when I say that. Most of us are bad at it, and that is a huge problem with huge stakes. So one of my goals with this podcast is to have more conversations, no bullshit conversations, and hopefully better conversations with survivors, in large part to help more people in more places hopefully feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. Now, if you are one of those people who I described, an ideator, an attempt survivor, and you'd like to talk, I'd love to talk with you. Please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. I'm going to skip the part where I usually talk about how you can learn more about this podcast. Today's episode took place in San Diego, California. It was the second to last stop on the national tour. At the Kava Collective, we thank them for that, with two of my past guests who I'll introduce in a moment. A few things I want you to know about this particular event and this particular episode. One, you'll see that the sound is a little different. I'm not much of a tech guy. I should probably improve those skills. I think it's good enough for you to hear clearly, and that's what matters. Also, you'll be hearing from a couple of our audience members in addition to my guests. They gave me their permission. There's also a couple of guests who shared who are not included. They did not want to be included, which I absolutely respect and understand why. But it tells me, it speaks to something larger in our culture, that people, even people who work in the field, who are probably underpaid and overworked and underappreciated and under-resourced and tired, have to think twice about being public, about talking about the very thing they care so much about. What does that tell you about our culture? What does that tell you about the space we are or we're not creating? What it tells me is that a lot of us are full of shit. We are not creating the right kind of space for people to really speak openly and honestly. And if you want to change things, there's a lot of things that are out of your control or my control. One thing most of us can do is let people talk in full. You ain't killing people when you do that. You're giving them life. If you don't like what I'm saying and you feel like I'm full of shit, then you can do to me what seems so prevalent today, which seems to dictate just about everything in our fucking culture that silences people. You can sue me. And you know what? I'll still keep talking. And I'll still keep asking questions. And trying to create those kinds of spaces where people can really open up and be honest. And just to be clear, that is not me at all patting myself on the back. That's more of a fuck you to this whole fucking ecosystem of silence. Let me segue now to my guests in today's episode. Of course, remember, we are talking about suicide on this podcast and on the tour. So please take that into account before you listen, as you listen. But I do hope you listen with a capital L, because there's so much to learn. Today, or back in early November, I'm talking to two past guests. It's an update episode and an episode from the tour. Sofia, aka Talia, and J. Both of them live in Southern California, and for lack of a better word, let's call them both near suicide attempt survivors. When did we talk? Do you remember? For the podcast?
Maybe 2021.
2021. What about you, Sophia?
Something about that.
Last year, 2024.
How many people have I talked to from San Diego? Not many.
You know,
I think it's
maybe.
just one. I think it's just the two of them.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. No, it's San Diego's a nice place.
We
Do you
don't
think
have
there's a lower...
we don't have suicidal people here.
You don't have suicidal people in
Yeah.
San Diego? The sun. Yeah. Right.
Not true.
I usually start right off with, how many suicide attempts do you have? So that's a tough question for you, right? But I still want to ask it, and
Yeah.
however you want to answer that, and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's tricky because mine were more like unconscious suicide attempts. So it wasn't until years later that I realized that that's what I had been doing. So I'd probably say at least like 5 or 6 times.
What I remember, but it was the highway thing,
Yeah.
because that was part of a story.
Yeah.
So now that I know that, I'm curious, do you remember when you first started thinking about suicide beyond just like a philosophical, if that applies?
Well, I keep all of my journals. when I was 12 years old, I had written about suicide in my journal. So like it was something I guess I had at that time I was mad. I was like mad at my parents and like that's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
You know, but I take it seriously. Like I don't know that that's normal for a 12-year-old.
Yeah. 12-year-olds end their lives sometimes.
They do, yes.
So it's not an unserious thing, presumably.
And I was a depressed 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to know more about the thing. So you said, how did you frame your, let's call them attempts or near attempts? What was the word you used just now? A minute ago.
Unconscious suicide attempts.
I've never heard that. I like learning. Tell me.
I have a very cool spiritual healer woman who, when I was talking to her about my car accident that I accidentally on purpose caused and survived, she's the one who was feeling into it. And she said, "Do you think this was an unconscious suicide attempt?" And I was, what? But as soon as like I thought about it, I'm like, oh yeah. And that's what made me start thinking about other times, previously in my life that I may have unconsciously, like accidentally on purpose done things.
Yeah, wait, hang on. It's unconsciously, accidentally on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like your therapist.
Mm.
Wait, then you said there were a few others.
Yeah.
What were the time frames? Like, is it recent or a while ago or a mix?
So a while ago, because let's see, I think probably the last time would have been like 2010 when I caused the car accident.
Is that on one of these highways here?
On the 8 freeway. Yeah.
Do you all know the 8 freeway? I don't know the 8 freeway.
Wait,
what happened?
I was on the 8
He's about
freeway.
to tell you.
Yeah, I'm just going to do the abbreviated version, but yeah, it was holiday traffic. It was Christmas, the day before Christmas Eve, and I was driving to Phoenix, and my life was not going well, and I was extremely sleep deprived, hadn't eaten, had not been taking care of myself for several weeks straight. And I knew I was falling asleep, but I continued to drive, and there was an opening, and I'm doing like 85, 90 miles an hour, and fell asleep and skidded off the freeway, and my car rolled 5 times. It's like bouncing, all this. I mean, the car was wrecked. But I did not get hurt, and no one else got hurt. Like, not a scratch or bruise on me. And like, it was actually a near-death experience. I felt like warmth, and it's all light. It was all very freaky because I was an atheist, and atheists don't have near-death experiences. Yeah. So it was like a real life-changing moment. And I knew that I was being dangerous, and it was almost like I consciously chose. I just didn't care. Like, I did not care. And so
that made you believe in the divine?
It did. Because I felt like I could not deny it. I would have wanted to, I'm a questioning kind of person, but that was so blatant.
Was that the most intense of them? Is that the right word? Intense?
Yeah. Yeah. The other ones were all like drug and alcohol related. And like looking back, it's like, I knew that could kill me. Those things that I was doing, and the amounts that I was doing, and the things substances I was mixing, and still did it. And so there were times that I was on the verge of overdosing and dying, and still continued my behavior until I was ready to stop.
How many people in the world know that about any of that?
Yeah, a lot of people know my car accident story, but the drug and alcohol stuff, I really have only been thinking about more recently. So I don't know that I've really shared. I don't think I guess just the people in this room.
Oh, wow. When I asked Jay to do this, I said, save the stuff just for this. Like, it's an exclusive just for the live audience.
Yes.
Don't tell even if it makes you feel better to tell other people, don't.
Yeah.
It's just about me and the tour.
Came to you.
So thank you. By the way, I didn't thank you guys for gals for
Yes. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for showing up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. We couldn't
Thank
do
you for-
this
yes.
without you guys.
I was asleep and I woke up here.
yes. Just,
Excellent.
that might be a bit of divine intervention as well. You don't know. It's possible. It's possible.
I do have a question though. Because you said you were atheist before. Now you feel like you believe in the divine. How is your life, the way that you look at life, different from before that to now?
I think that it took a lot of pressure off of me to feel that I'm not in charge of everything that happens in my life. Like I was very controlling before and like a perfectionist. I mean, I'm still kind of a perfectionist. I can still be, I want things my way, but feeling like there's something else in charge and like I can just let go and not have to be in control. I think that also that's what allowed me to eventually have a kid. So I have this amazing daughter now, and I don't know that ever would have, happened. Well, if I had died in the car accident, that would not have happened. But now I'm able to like connect with her better and talk to her about like if there's some kind of I don't know God or whatever you want to call it, some kind of spirit or so. Yeah, I feel like I actually have lessons worth teaching to a small child, which it's a whole different life now.
Wow,
That's for sure.
Daughter?
And a lot more meaningful. Yes. Yeah.
How old?
She's 9.
I have one more question. Well, I have more. I guess I could do this for. It sounds like you're not in that space anymore. I don't want to make you presumptuous, so maybe I should reframe that as: are you in that space these days?
I do still think about it, but not I don't think that I would ever actually consider doing it. It's more like, oh my gosh, like this would be so much easier if I could just give up. Right. Yeah. But I don't have that luxury, right? Because now I'm a single parent and, I'm all this little girl has. And she came with a cat too. So now I've got this cat. So a lot of important responsibilities in my life now and like things to live for. Things that feel worth living for.
So part 2 to that question is if you were having a really shitty day or when you have a really shitty day and you think that way, I don't know if you're the kind of person that wants to talk about these things, but do you have anybody in your life that you could talk to and say the word, for example, suicide or ideate, and it'd be okay and not have all that bullshit?
I mean, just the word suicide and the name of this event, I think is triggering for a lot of people.
Right.
I do have, I'm sober now. And so I do have like people in sobriety that I can talk to about things like that. But not in my own like personal life or with my family or close friends, because I feel like they don't understand the way that a lot of people in recovery actually have tried to commit suicide.
There's a lot of overlap, right?
Yeah, because of drugs or alcohol or depression.
Does it frustrate you at all that like you feel like it's not, for now at least, it's not really a possibility to have a fully present conversation with like family or the people closest to you? Because that's something that I deal with a lot and it really bothers me. And I would like it to not be that way. But I also I haven't been able to really approach it. So
that's tricky. I mean, I guess I'm glad that most of my friends and family don't have any basis for understanding what it's like in my head, the things that I have thought and the things that I have done, like it's not even in their realm of possibility. I do definitely wish that I had more like close friends that I could reach out to about things like that. Where do you find people you can talk about suicide and addiction? And, right?
I don't think you have to go through it though to have empathy.
Sure.
So, but I mean, maybe that's a starting point. If we looked at who is more open or available and not sucking at conversing, engaging, maybe it skews a little more towards those that have experienced it. But I've joked on the podcast, like I can empathize with somebody who has labor pains. They're pregnant, but I mean, I might have gained a little weight here, understandably, but I ain't having a kid. So like, there's like And I know suicide, though, is probably like one of the more extreme. Beyond like, it's like literally, in my experience, categorized with felonies. I've done this thought experiment. We could do it now or another time because I want to talk to Sophia. What other thing are people so freaked out about that doesn't end you with incarcerate you? Well, it kind of does, doesn't it? Where our culture says you are a bad person, you need to serve time for this thing. Thanks for helping me find this. Or no, not helping me. Thanks for finding this location.
I'm glad we're here.
Kava.
Actually, and
This is a great
to do
location.
it.
Kava collect. They don't have booze here, do they?
They don't.
Just kava. I'm good to drink. I'm happy to have a beer after with anyone who wants. Sorry. I'm fine with it. I drink responsibly.
Yeah, this place is close by.
So, Sophia and I, we met about a year ago.
Yeah, about a year.
We had a good talk.
Yeah.
Long.
Yeah.
Wait, this is your first time meeting?
In person, yeah.
What? A year?
Yeah.
And you guys are finally meeting
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah. You have no idea what you slept yourself into.
Wow, I just woke up from a dream.
All of my the only way I'm in the cities I'm in is because my guests that I've had on the podcast agreed to help find a space and said, I'll help let the world know about it. The only reason this is happening is because in this case, Sophia said, I'll help you find a place.
And
I had the opportunity. And the way I had the opportunity to reach out to these people is because they were my prior guests on a podcast. Not a live thing, not an in-person thing.
Oh.
So you had no idea. You didn't know. So this is the end of this is the 14th of 15 stops. And it's been going on for a month.
Wow.
Driving.
And all I had to do was just wake up.
Yep.
And
it's not a coincidence.
Yeah,
oh.
Sophia and I had a long talk, good talk. And I remember, because I hear the conversation, then I edit it, right? So that's like, I'm back in it. I'm like,
yeah.
This is a sort of unique human being sharing it because it's different. So I'm going to put you on the spot. I'll ask the same first question and then we'll dance and we'll shimmy and shift is, how many suicide attempts do you have?
0.
Mm-hmm.
I have never attempted suicide. And
how did we even talk about
I don't think I really have any like aborted attempts either.
Yeah.
Like I didn't actually start like setting things up and then stop. I've thought a lot about what I would do. So yeah, for like the last 3 years, it's only like, in the last 3 years that I've had more like active thoughts, and I've gone kind of down that like more in depth. But yeah, I reached out to Sean after probably like at least a year of listening to the podcast.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exclusive.
Yeah.
You didn't hear it. You've never heard the podcast. You will later, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm hearing it.
Yeah, it's even better on.
Yeah.
I just woke up.
And at the time actually that I reached out to you, it was almost exactly a year ago. We've just like kind of passed that.
Is it right?
So yeah, I remember and I reached out to you at a time when I was having a lot of like active suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Most recently it happened. At the time, I was like, I kind of had defined for myself the soonest I would permit myself to end my life was like a year from then.
I recall that
So
very
like
specifically.
it would have been like October 2025.
Because at that point I had like how many conversations? Like a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, so young woman, the specificity is what got me. Because it wasn't like next week. It was next year, but like a very specific, not that I'd never heard that, but it wasn't that common. I was like, it really struck me.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of an anticlimax here. And the reason for it being a year was I reached out to you at the time, right when I like renewed my lease. And my lease would have ended like in October.
But why did you choose like that as the point? Like, because it's kind of an arbitrary, like your lease. Do you remember why I was like, is it like a year seems about right to like get my shit done and check out?
Yeah. Also, it's like, a year. A year is like this, conceptually, it's like very kind of manageable.
And when was a year? Like recently. It was a year was up.
Yeah.
You signed a new lease. So you didn't die.
No.
Well, she's here.
Right.
So she did it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a fair.
You should be a co-host. I'm telling you, you should be my co-host. Yeah. This is the coolest thing about it is every single person I talked to did not complete suicide.
Well, yeah, there's
Exactly. I
Yeah,
can't talk to dead people.
And since then, truthfully, I have not gotten truly closer to attempting suicide. I think part of the specificity of it is I've never felt both impulsive or impulsively suicidal, because I think ever since I think what prompted me or one of the things that's related to me thinking more about suicide in the last 3 years was a recognition of my own independence and like responsibility over myself. I'm 25. So like 3 years ago, I had just moved to San Diego. I had just started my like full-time salary job right out of college. So it was the first time in my life where I was like, I am truly independent. I am, I'm not completing a degree that my family has helped like supporting me to do. I am here for a role of my choosing. I intentionally applied to this role. It is in a field that I studied for. Yeah. It's something that I'm interested in. And so at that time I was like I'm responsible for myself, and I have maybe all this time ahead of me where that's gonna be the case, because, and this is kind of more recent and introspective, like I think I'm looking into more my relationship with myself, because like the parts of that are fraught. The idea of kind of the future in which I am responsible for myself, I am, like actively making choices for myself that affect other people makes me deeply uncomfortable. For the past 3 years, right. One of the ways I guess I respond to that, and like I do like choose to think about it. I don't feel victimized by suicidal thoughts at all because of my relationship with myself. I think that's the crux of my situation. So it's very like philosophical. So my relationship with you, like for the podcast, turned very philosophical very quickly. Yeah. Like I'm very clear, like I've never been suicidal because of circumstantial things. I've never been broken up with. Uh-huh. I've never been I don't have major trauma in my life. Uh-huh. You check a lot of boxes of not trauma, not. Yes.
That's a really interesting point. I wonder. Certainly, I would think. I don't know if it's the majority, but I would guess like the majority of the people I've spoken with, and probably the majority of the people that don't have data on this that probably aren't in that situation, right? You probably are in a large minority. Like there's people, I've had more and more conversations recently where it's like in this umbrella or this term of like rational suicide. Like I'm 74, I don't have anybody, I'm running out of money, I want to take my own life. So like another category of like whether they had those things checked or not, like that's just like, and I'm learning more. It's taking me like a long time. Like there really are these like, not that I need to label them, but there's like, you're a little bit different than somebody else, but then that person's really different. But that's the one thing in common is like thinking about and sometimes trying to do that.
We could have a whole conversation about what is a rational suicide?
Yeah,
is there rational
is there such
suicide?
A thing?
Yeah. Because that's pretty subjective. Yeah. Do you?
Would you say that is like one of the main things that causes you to think, because you're talking about being independent a lot, right? And you're making money and salary position, but you're talking about being independent, but like, are you an island unto yourself? You know what I'm saying? Because I think people are supposed to connect with other people. That's what keeps us going. Like, if you don't have that, then, I've been there. I felt so disconnected from other people that I want.
Oh, your turn is coming soon.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be on.
I'm just saying
the questions.
That was the main thing, was connecting with other humans. Is like what helped me. I don't know. How do you feel?
Isolation and loneliness are pretty big and like difficult. And I've definitely felt lonely. I've noticed it. I think it also, I have some like kind of maladaptive behaviors to loneliness for sure.
Such as?
Drinking.
Kava? More than college.
How often though? That's
You gotta sit right here.
That's an important question. Often. How often? It's important.
It is. It's an important question, but this isn't the truth.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I love that you're so into this stuff.
Oh.
I really do. So I'm a drinker too. People drink. Raise your hand if you drink alcohol. Am I the only one? Okay, so all right. So like the majority of people, hopefully responsibly, but that's not why we're here.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Got it. I'm learning more as how this goes.
Yeah, I'm figuring it out too.
What that?
I'm figuring it out too. I'm a podcaster, man. It's just like I'm learning.
I'm learning the rules and regulations.
You're great. So you haven't moved closer, but you haven't moved further away. You're that space, or you have generally.
Yeah, I don't think I've moved closer, and it's ambiguous whether I've moved further away, truly.
Why is it ambiguous? Or how?
I don't know. Like
Depending on what I ask you.
I don't like right now. If you ask me like for a date, I couldn't give you one. I don't have a date of like when is. Whereas for some time I was like, yeah, October 15th, or maybe 2 weeks after that. Was like,
wait, or maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, like I don't know.
And you had a method?
Yeah.
Are we talking about that? Well,
we can talk about
Jay's
method.
Your methods were more different. That's different, right? Like it was in the car. I guess that's a method. It is a method, but
running myself ragged and
then drugs and alcohol are obvious methods.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's more like, tell me if I'm wrong, but yours were not, I'm going to get really high and drunk to die. It's, I'm going to get really high and drunk and fuck it. If it happens, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Is that closer, or I feel like I'm putting words in your mouth.
Yeah. It was somewhere in between the I'm going to get really high and fuck it and the like I'm going to take all these pills to die. It was like somewhere
like in order
there.
to go, like, right.
Yeah. It was like, I'm going to get really high and then get even higher, even though I might die. Like, and then combine it with other things that might kill me and do it anyway. And it's not fun either. It was not fun.
No, it wasn't just like party.
No, it was like, oh, I feel like I might actually die and I don't like the way that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I think, those are very distinct. Both are self-destructive, I don't know, moods, mental states, but they're very, because of the intentionality, I think it's very different. That's why I think that's like probably the crux of like the debate over whether, say, someone who overdosed on opioids or opiates actually chose to end their life. Like, was that a suicide or was it not?
Sure.
Like,
what were your, when you thought about ending your life, what was your method or methods, or did you have one in mind?
potassium cyanide?
Very specific.
The what? Sorry?
Cyanide, basically. Poisoning.
Oh, like medication?
Poison.
Poison.
Yeah.
Cyanide is a poison.
Cyanide,
Very much so.
Where do you buy it? It's just something.
Well, hang on. Just so we're clear. No, it's cool. Just so we're clear. I don't think anyone's getting ideas here because Google is a very powerful machine.
Yeah.
You have to be like aware that people have the knowledge if they want to get it.
That's right.
However, like I would say, if Sophie is aware of some gray market website, that to me crosses a line. Like, I don't want to give people the website address that you may not otherwise find. Like, you do the work.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying. But I don't think she has that because I don't know. And we don't even know where you would necessarily get the thing, but that was your way of exiting.
Yeah.
Is that effective? Does it work?
Yes.
Is it painful?
Yes.
I've heard it's very painful.
Yeah, so why choose a painful route?
Oh.
It takes like 30 minutes and you might even lose consciousness before that.
But you might not.
Like 30 minutes to like.
You might not.
Actual death.
You might
not.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah. But I mean, my thing, like I said, right, I have never been truly impulsively suicidal.
Yeah.
And on principle, I wouldn't use a firearm. Like, just don't. Yeah. I don't want to try to go and get a gun. I don't like guns. Like, I've never like even held a gun, for example, which is like a very, right? Guns are like the highest lethality method, basically. That's the driver, basically, for like method is like definitely like
effective.
Effective.
So worth the pain.
Yeah, no half measures. So that's part of the reason why I think it's like those kind of two types of like self-destructive mental states are so distinct. Because yes, you can go and overdose or come close to overdosing, and in that moment maybe not want to be alive and actively be like wishing like, I hope this kills me. But unless you are, going through the effort of finding out exactly what it is you're taking, what it is you're taking, and so you have actually a good idea of what the dose is, and then what the lethal dose is depending on your size. I would not call that, like, I would distinguish that from the instance in which someone very intentionally knew all those things and went through with it.
Like you.
Yeah. And so, but I don't know. Like, I feel like there are times, when I do things that I think are self-destructive, and there's definitely a sense of like apathy and like self-hatred.
Sophia, how many people in the world know of that you feel the way you feel about your, like, not yourself, because that gets into psychobabbling, that ain't my shit.
And but that's something that I kind of am talking about little by little with
like that. Like, how many people ever heard you say that what you just said to us, specifically around, for example, 1 year from now, potassium, maybe one or two other things that are clearly, where I'm going with that.
Two other people, one of them being a therapist and one of them being a friend of mine.
All right.
And then yourself, actually.
And then I'm in that company too. But I'm in a weird spot.
You're the exclusive.
I'm like stranger on the train, kind of more than anything. Like, I'll tell you stuff because I've heard you and you seem all right, but we may never talk again. In this case, Sophie and I have talked since a little bit, but most of my guests I don't. But you know that. So, and one more question, and then I'm asking you all a question.
Oh.
And then if you have any questions or want to share, typically I would have a lot more time. I sometimes talk for like 2 hours with one person, so we dig and we go all over and then I do a little editing. So this is a sort of like, what would you call it? Like a mini version?
Yeah.
Summarized version, sort of like just a little bit of this.
Some dabbling.
A little dabbling in rarely discussed kinds of conversation.
Yeah.
So the pink and purple pill, I didn't ask you because I never asked you this question. If you hear the podcast, you probably know it. And the question is, I have a pill. If I give you the pill, it's interesting. And if you take the pill, you go to sleep. You don't wake up. There is no pain. And nobody knows it's suicide. I'll tell you why I asked that question after you answer, if you want to, of course.
Is this like the Matrix?
It's my Matrix. It's just not the blue and red.
Got it.
It's a different color.
One color.
And I'm not Keanu Reeves.
Oh. Is there color to the pill? Or
Pink and purple.
Oh, okay. Which one is the first one?
Pink and purple. Imagine a tablet. One side's pink, one side's purple.
Got it.
You cannot bite it in half. It doesn't work.
Oh.
You can't give it away. It doesn't work. So this works. So I want to ask Jay and Sophia first, and then if you want to answer, I never gave people the option. It came organically. So remember when right now I gave you this pen. Sure, you probably would wait until we're not around, but whatever you want to do. What else could you do with it? I'm not trying to be weird, but like, there's only so many things you could do with it.
I would struggle with whether to keep it for someday in the future, and then I'd be worried, like, is this something that I should have? And then maybe at some point I would flush it because I felt like I should not have this anymore.
That's because the flush medications, by the way.
Right.
Someone gave me shit about that recently.
Flush. I would not actually flush. I've never in my life flushed drugs, but
well, only during that raid that one time, right?
Yeah,
get rid of
it. Eat them.
Okay. So you would maybe save or chuck.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward like save though, because like, what if shit hits fan.
That's it out.
All right.
I should put an expiration date on it, maybe. I don't know. What would you do, Sophia?
I would keep it.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, even if I were to use it, I would do away with the contingent that no one knows it's suicide.
You could do that.
I would write to people.
You would want them to know. This
is how I died. I chose to do this.
Yes. Yes.
And as best as I can say, this is why.
Right. Do you know why I put that in there?
What?
Why I said no one knows it's a suicide? Like, why that kind of...
Because there's a lot of shame and stigma around it, right?
The whole point of the question, right, is I'm going to take away these things just because I want to see if you want to be alive or not. Because one of the reasons people don't try it is, well, it's not going to work. I'm going to be in the hospital forever. It's going to be really painful. People are going to judge. So take all that shit out. Do you want to be alive or not?
I do have a question about that though. Is if you were to do that, you would write a personal letter to your parents? Oh.
So over the last few years, I've like written things, so far kind of for myself, but in some cases, yes, addressed to people in my life.
Notes.
So,
and even if, let's say if you died and then you saw how to.
Now let's talk about safe spaces.
Oh, that's not safe.
No, I don't know. Is
like it? The movie, the Christmas movie, the guy, like the main character is actually apparently like suicidal. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I forget.
I
what
want to
it's
address
called,
that in a
but
second.
I know what
Not addressed. Like I want to talk about that in a second.
No, there's an actual movie. It's like it was made originally in like the 70s, and so it's a lot of things in it rather dated, but it's interesting. It's an interesting like premise. The premise is that someone faces this guy, like family man and businessman, faces a financial crisis, and then he's like dealing with it, and then like an angel appears basically and kind of grants him in a way his wish, and which is that like he's like wanting to die. What is it? No.
But it's
called something else.
It's like a vision of everybody in his life.
Yeah, well then he gets like transported to this alternate world in which where he could walk around and see what would happen
and
if he were not
devastated.
there. Yeah.
Everyone's
Well, he comes across all these people in his community and their lives are in ruin and all that. Yeah, and then he goes back and
and he changes his mind, of course, because it's a movie, and a movie would never end someone taking their life.
Right. Yeah, but there's some interesting points that I think it paints that movie probably paints a picture in terms of like people's, potential for impact in their community, because it's like, he goes back and he's a better husband and father because now he's more considerate. Before he was an asshole because he was really stressed and
what is it? Is it It's a Wonderful Life? What's that?
It's a Wonderful Life.
That's from like the 1940s.
Yeah, it's really old.
Oh yeah.
It's one.
Did you say the 80s?
I said 70s because I was like,
no, that's a famous. Yeah. I have some issues with it, but I get your point.
It for everyone.
But people consider.
There's enough in it that even if you know the ending,
the impact it'll have on their families.
Yeah, there's this movie named Soul.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys say Soul. He like dies, right? And then and he's about to go to like heaven, and then God's like, nope. Back in your body, and then he's like a musician. I think he has to pursue his passion for music or something.
Mm-hmm. What would you do with that pill?
What would I do? I'll shut that thing.
Why?
Because I almost committed suicide 3 times in my life. I'm 33, but I realized that I'm here for I have a mission here.
Tell me what it is.
My mission is it's very simple. It's just to be kind. Great, kind person, listen to people, be compassionate, be patient, hear people, connect with people, understand people's pains. Like, today's society is more disconnected than ever before, and the reason why we feel so suicidal, in my humble opinion, is because we're living on separation. And
is there a reason for it?
And it doesn't, and it really doesn't, surprise me that a lot of people feel suicidal. I mean, it almost boggles my mind that not everyone feels the same way. Suicidal. I feel why isn't everyone feeling suicidal? How society is functioning. It's so dysfunctional.
You're 33? And can I ask you a couple of questions about your?
Sure.
You almost tried? You tried?
What?
You tried to end your life?
No, actually I didn't try, but I did go to Home Depot to get the rope.
A rope.
But then,
yes.
And then buy it because it was too expensive. And I was broke at the time.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Divine intervention.
Right.
Divine intervention. And, the first time I ever felt suicidal was in 5th grade.
Wow.
I got in an argument with my parents. And I just remember going outside and just thinking about jumping off a cliff. Because we lived in Paul's Ferries.
There's cliffs.
There's cliffs here. And I just thought about jumping off a freaking cliff because I was just so done with but I was trapped. As a kid, you're and you're dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And I lived in a narcissistic environment, and I became codependent, and I didn't have healthy boundaries. And
You've been to therapists.
Yes.
oh yeah,
I hear the words coming
I know
out.
these terms.
And,
3 in a row, and we're like, pop, pop, pop.
yeah, and
Damn, he did his work.
patterns. Like it
Yeah.
got into my 20s, I kept manifesting the relationship I had with my parents, but with other people. So I would consistently attract narcissistic people. That was codependent. And but codependents are also highly in tune to the narcissist, so they're like trying to get their needs in a roundabout way. So I'm not saying I was submissive, but what I'm trying to say is that I started waking up to the pattern that I was in through therapists and things of that nature, and then eventually I started having healthier boundaries. And I just got out of a 3-year relationship that I thought was my best friend, like recently. And at the age of 33, I started having healthier boundaries. Isn't that crazy?
No, I'm still waiting to find mine, and I'm only letting you.
But
good for you.
Yeah. But it's
I don't think it's an
finally-
age thing. It's good that you found something.
Yeah, it's finally starting out.
So you would check it. So you wouldn't hesitate. You check.
I'll throw that thing, and like Lord of the Rings.
No.
One hit the
Yes.
ring, and then he throws into the
fire.
fire in Mordor. That's what I'll do, like this lava, and then I'll
It's like an aggressive.
Destroy.
Symbolic.
I would
Yeah.
throw that.
Okay.
And then Frodo was like on the edge, he was about to fall, and then Sam comes and saves him. So
I got it.
I'll throw that,
Yeah.
and I'll take everyone else's.
Damn.
Hey,
You're gonna get some people fighting. Well, maybe like it's just.
I'll just do mine.
Does anyone else want? I'm curious what others think.
I mean, I answered once before, but I'm keeping
Yeah.
saying it
What do you mean you answered once before?
on the podcast.
Oh, they don't know that.
Oh, true. Yeah. So yeah, I would keep it.
Can I tell them who you are?
Yeah, go for it.
Because they might want to find it. Conrad in Iowa originally, and then the update episode, Conrad in California.
Oh,
Yes.
I love that you're in LA.
he's here.
Iowa to LA. I mean, come on.
I appreciate you being here, all of you being here. I mean, I know this is stuff that is not typically talked about at all.
Not even with my counselor.
Right.
Because I know they're a mandatory reporter, and if they take what I say the wrong way, then they might institutionalize me.
Yeah. But like, as we do that, right? It's all on you. You're suffering. Just talk about it. It's like, motherfucker, excuse my French. I fucking talked about it. And I went to jail or the equivalent of it. I talked about, so what kind of dumb advice is
And
that
I think
that
there's a
world.
disconnect between what health means or
Yes.
what people understand as health. Because suicidality and suicidal thoughts are pathologized, like, oh, they're a symptom of, a disease or disorder, and therefore the person or people expressing them can't be totally rational. That's like what underlies all of this. Like, people justify non-consensual interventions with that as like, well, this person
Right.
rational. I don't want to discount that completely, I guess.
Discount what?
Like,
The crisis model.
crisis model. Like, I think that I think it's just overused. I don't know that it's completely wrong.
Well, like, when in doubt, let's
Or, like,
treat everyone that
completely-
way, because then just in
Yeah.
case, they can't hurt themselves.
Yeah,
But, like,
I
what
see that. That
happens
like when in
then?
doubt, like when someone has already hurt themselves, or when someone has already, done something to kind of incapacitate themselves, but they're able to be rescued, I guess, in a way, or taken kind of further away from harm. I'm not going against that, but I think that the crisis model is really overused, and like you said, it actively discourages people from like openly.
Right. It serves a small percentage of people,
Yes.
but it gets the headline. It's
And
big,
I think it
saving, it's
reinforces.
big,
If
it's
I'm going
like-
to talk, if I'm going to talk to a psychologist, if I'm going to talk to like someone, like a counselor who works in that sort of space, I would argue that the way the crisis model, the way that like a lot of like medicine and clinical spaces treat suicidal people, reinforces the narrative of, if you're suicidal, you're a broken person. Something is wrong with you, which is like, it's like a victimizing narrative, which is something that they actively discourage. They're like, in therapy, they're like, what narratives do you have that, make you feel like you're a victim, that make you get stuck, like psychologically or mentally. That's like the work of therapy, to try to like broaden your range, like the range of your mind, and as far as how you think about your life and yourself, right? Yeah, that's suicidality is
it's a different
ass contradiction in that space. I actually have a recent experience with it, so I'm like, yeah.
Well, the suicide thing with like, it's mental health. Like, we just group this big thing, everything under like mental health.
Yeah,
mental health, like suicide. Yeah, I get it. I get why you would put it under that broad term, but it's a really different, its own thing. Just feel like I don't know. I'm not articulating this clearly. This is why editing is so good when you have a podcast. I told you the live thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The tricky thing with kind of the terminology, one of the things I think is like in research, it's hard, you want to try, if you're going to do like a study on people, like an academic study on people, you need to worry about how you're going to find the people for the study and like how might they be related? What are like common factors? And I think with suicidality, it's hard to find like a lot of commonalities, I think.
Also, how do you do research on people that aren't honest?
Yeah. That too. There's the social,
like even I know
stigma,
there's blind studies that I don't think a lot of people are even honest then.
Yeah.
So
I
mean, that's not on them. That's just like, I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, so they probably wouldn't sign up for the thing. But are you sure it's anonymous? Because the stakes are pretty high here if I get caught. So maybe I'll just kind of taper down that answer to sometimes, not always. I would.
Yeah, I love this whole conversation.
You want to tell?
I have to mention something about my friend that I grew up because he recently committed suicide. I grew up with him. His name was, can I say it?
It's your choice.
His name is Josh. I grew up with him skateboarding. It was weird. Like our paths were, we grew up skating, and then I remember there was a pivotal point where it was a separation. I was kind of on this self-improvement path that he was kind of like, I was trying to get him on this path, but then he was choosing something different. And then our paths split, right? And then I traveled all over, years go by now. And then like he passed away at 29. I didn't even show up at the funeral. My old friends were very resentful of me. And understandably so, that I wasn't in the right headspace to be there. But I just remember a friend that was just like really pissed. Like, what are you doing? You didn't even show up. Like, I haven't even talked to the mom yet. I'm gonna call her, check in with her, have a heart-to-heart conversation.
Nice.
And then
while you're on the freeway, I'm just imagining.
Yeah, right. I'm just like, yo.
Because you said that, I was like, you should maybe take a smaller road. What if she's pissed at you?
She's pissed at me, then that's valid. I mean,
just probably not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Maybe, hopefully not.
I mean, we live in a world where everything's valid, isn't it? Always. So it's tricky.
It's tricky.
You're valid. I'm valid.
I'm valid. You're valid.
Everything's valid.
Everything's valid.
It's like at some point, I don't know. I don't agree.
But yeah, that's true.
I'm old. I'm just an old dude.
But I do think that your emotions, especially as kids,
yes,
like if they're feeling sad, angry, or whatever, it's valid.
Yeah,
and as parents, we should help them through their emotions and see them through their emotions, because it's when we invalidate them is when there's that separation that occurs, and then they suppress their own emotions, and then we have all these addictions as we're older.
Yes,
we can't be angry and also have other people around us while we're like, it's just like your parent says, "Oh, you're angry." Okay, Tana. They don't even help the kid through that anger.
Are there any other questions for anybody? I had this idea that people are going to be like, "Oh my God, I'm so curious about your podcast and the process, and tell me more about you." No one gives a shit. I was like, no, maybe it's better that they actually talk and ask questions to the people who are sharing their stories.
We can have the conversation.
Nobody cares. I care. Well, because I made you care by doing that. You didn't give a shit.
But now I care.
Would you like to explain to us why you started?
But that's like saying, honey, like say these things to me because it'll make me feel better. And then she says it. And it's like, well, I had to ask you to say it.
Well, the thing is,
No, it's over.
it's over.
I'm just kidding. Okay, we have to wrap up fairly soon. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, kind of interesting that actually, I mean, as far as I know, right, like two of you here join us actually have careers to which this is,
Yeah.
this topic is very pertinent.
I'm just a gardener.
So I don't know. Yeah, I appreciate it.
You're
I'm a
escaping.
chemist. I don't
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I think she was referring to these two.
Oh,
Yes.
right.
And
Yeah.
I don't know about the others, but they identify
Yeah.
clearly as, yeah,
So that's
right.
that's
It's good.
really cool.
I like it too,
don't
yeah.
know.
I'm trying to settle my ego a little bit, like lower, but there's been a few people who found it just from the podcast. Like I have listeners
Mhm.
who are like, oh no, I heard you on the podcast, and it just happened to be that you're in my city. I said, shut the fuck up.
Divine intervention.
I don't know. No, it was 5 years of busting my ass intervention. And out of all of that, 3 or 4 people from around the country came. So no, it's more than just divine.
Oh, yeah.
But it is kind of cool.
I
Because
just
I remember I
woke
was
up.
like, no, I heard the podcast, and you were like in Massachusetts, and I drove an hour and a half. Thanks. Each place is a little different because it's a different room and different guests and different people show up. And it was just that keep
Yeah.
the conversations going that are hard to find. And, in a way that I think is beneficial, helpful.
Dude, we need to talk more about this.
Why don't you start a San Diego chapter?
About a chapter?
Well, I just started, there's like a new idea I just came up with.
Like a chapter, like this is the new chapter we're start talking about.
Well, San Diego would be the
Actually-
first one.
Actually, this is kind of a shout out. Like, is anyone here aware of alternatives to suicide? It's like an
Yes.
organization kind of.
You know what?
Yeah, so there's like online meetings. I think it was started in Massachusetts, and probably in
Yes.
Massachusetts, I believe
Wildflower,
there
right?
are
Wildflower.
in-person meetings. It's a support group, or like a talk support group. I've gone to online meetings, and honestly, they're really great. They're better than the group therapy I'm doing right now. But honestly, not my insurance.
Wildflower. Well, it's used to go Wildflower, right?
But yeah, it's through the Wildflower
Yeah,
Alliance is like
yeah.
the parent organization. But they're meant to be like, just support groups, talk groups for things related to suicide.
There is a limit, though, right? I'm not saying there shouldn't be, but
I mean,
is.
so there are like group guidelines, and the one that I went to always kind of went through them, but it was like they go through in cycles, and each week, because it's once a week, they went through more in depth one of the guidelines. They're like, I don't know, it was a list of like 15 guidelines, like sentences, statements that were like, in this group exists for the purpose of this, and this, and we want to approach the topic of suicide as a group, in this way. And but I thought it was very open, right? Like there were times where people talked about method. There were times where, right, like people talked more in depth about what they did and what they were feeling at different points in their lives. It was very much, one of the guidelines was just like, you listen and respond if the person indicates they want a response, but to not like pass judgment. That was a big one. And there was some recognition too of being sort of a little removed from the crisis intervention model. It's very much like, we're here to have an open discussion.
That's cool.
Kind of as judgment free as possible. It was also like, if someone says that they're suicidal, don't go into, but you have so much to live for. Like
It's not to.
Just
more,
don't
don't try to
judge.
go
Yeah.
convincing people of
I
one
think
way or
you have to
another.
do more than that if it were up to me. I like that. Do you know there's a Suicide Anonymous?
Like a 12-step program.
not.
Yeah.
How have I never heard of that?
There's, you
'Cause
can
it's very
find,
hard to
they,
find it.
they
No one
have,
knows about it, but it's a weird model. Because
and they have
it's-
the little
the
book of
model
suicide.
is that you're addicted to suicidal thinking.
Yeah.
You're addicted.
So it's
Because-
similar
Wait, that you-
language. I went to one. I don't think I am, but
But
maybe.
you still think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I might be, but I went to one out of curiosity, and I could see how it could benefit some people. But you have to buy into the 12-step idea.
Yeah.
And I could see some people saying it doesn't really work if there's not like food or booze or like a thing. I mean, but if it works for them, then it's great. I was. And what's fascinating about it is they have like one online meeting average every day at some point. So that's something. And there's one in-person meeting in the entire country that happens to be somewhere in New Mexico. I was like, and that is. So it's like, I'm addicted to talking to people about all kinds of things.
Conversationalist Anonymous.
What is that? What in it?
CA.
I like that.
That's what I like to hear. You should get a tax-deductible donation.
A tax deductible.
Yeah, it's right behind you. There's a QR code. Now, look, if you're going to do more than $1,000, just talk to me.
Well, what if I did 10,000?
No, that's a great idea. And then you should talk to your accountant because you might get it all back. Anyway, yeah, if anyone wants to contribute, there's a QR code. If you don't know how to use your QR code, ask one of the young ones. You just zap it. So that's it.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, guys.
I really appreciate that, having the opportunity to speak about things that we've about many places.
As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. Special thanks to Sofia and J in San Diego for talking with me again in person, and to our audience. Thanks so much. If you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. Remember, we've got a weekly poll. Check it out on Spotify. And if you've got a moment and you think we deserve it, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple. It really does help. Thank you for that. And that is all for this week's episode. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I'll talk to you soon.